Good evening, everybody. Welcome to SpeakuP Monday. I'm your host, Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect. Now, tonight, we have an amazing guest, not only an amazing beard, looks a bit like Jesus. Sorry, I had to drop that. It's true, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. So now Greg Jacobson is one of the leading happiness strategists in the world, worked for some of the largest companies in the world, is running, so even endorsed by His Holiness Les Brown.
In the world.
Les Brown endorsed you. I saw that one as well.
I love that guy.
Oh, he's an amazing man. So tonight we're going to talk about happiness, but not only that, we're going to talk about happiness and business and life, how you can combine all of them together in not only like your home, but also at work, because you do a lot of work as well, teaching businesses how to create better communications and relationships with their staff and management to staff as well. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Nailed it. Wonderful.
Good. This guy's good.
So the first question that comes up, when I hear the word happiness strategist, was there a defining moment for you that kind of moved you on that course, or were you just born happy?
No, certainly was not born happy. Quite the opposite. I wouldn't say I was depressed or unhappy necessarily, but more of a realist, pragmatist, stoic. I studied happiness because I wanted to be happier. I was kind of an angry teenager, and there were some people out there with some skills and strategies that I certainly wanted to learn, so I reached out to them, whether it was through reading books or calling them on the phone, when you can actually reach people on the phone way before email or anything like that. And I would reach out to people, and they would meet with me, and I would sit with them and learn what it took. And I thought it was about money and having more, and that certainly isn't the answer. So, I was people that go to events like this and do seminars and workshops. This is what we do. So I went to one in Santa Barbara, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world, very well-to-do people. And I was with a bunch of good-looking folks like this audience here. And we were the elder statesmen, Rocky, my wife, and I. And we were older. We were in our, I guess, mid-40s at the time. And these were all young kids going to University of Santa Barbara. And we look out the window at this venue, and there's the pier over there, and the waves are crashing, and the sun is shining, and the dolphins are jumping. And the facilitator was a multi-day workshop, and the facilitator asked us to go home and do homework, and the homework was life is. So that was easy for me. I mean, I knew what life was at that point. And we came back the next day, and the facilitator said, anybody do their homework? And everybody's excited that they had a one-question homework, so everybody raised their hand, about 150 people in the room. And they started asking people. So he asked this young, beautiful girl in the front row, life is, and she said, life is sadness. I thought that was kind of a weird answer, so we moved on, and he asked if anybody else, and I'm like, pick me. So he calls on me, and I said, life is friggin' awesome, but I didn't say friggin', I said
You used the other F word.
I did use the other F word, and I would again, but we're on.
No, you can swear here, it's
okay.
fine. It's fine.
I said that, and he said that was too broad. So I didn't know what that meant, so he called on somebody behind me, and they said, happiness is disappointment. And they called on someone else, and they said happiness or life is waiting to die. Waiting to die, like a 22-year-old kid. I'm thinking, it gave me chills. And I'm thinking, well, I've learned these skills and strategies over years, and if this is what's going on around me here in Santa Barbara, where people are the haves, not the have-nots, I can't imagine what the rest of the world is going through. So at that moment, it was just like I was chosen to share what I knew with people, which I could do in an hour or less, to bring people from unhappiness into well-being, into happy, by making some different distinctions and some different decisions and small actions. People aren't born with happy. Very few people. I mean, I've seen some people with IQ in the 60s that bang on pots and pans, and they seem like the happiest people in the world. But the people that I meet day to day high IQ, high functioning, high worth people are some of the least happy people in the world. Whether they're celebrities or Olympic athletes or Fortune 500 executives, billionaires, it doesn't matter. If they haven't learned these skills and put them into action, they either aren't going to be happy or they aren't going to believe that happiness exists. Like people who haven't found love yet don't believe that love's a real thing. Well, it is. It's a real thing. It's like happiness, a real thing.
You know, what comes up, because I know you've been interviewed, you know, like pretty much throughout the world on all the major channels, and you've written books and so on, and worked with some of your clients are millionaires, billionaires. I know that also. So let's dwell upon the money thing for a second, because a lot of people equate happiness to money.
Sure, I sure did.
And so now you had a $250 million company.
Yeah, it was actually a little more than that. But
a little bit more than that.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's enough zeros.
And that company, you were either lost or it was taken from you. So briefly, can you explain to us what happened?
No, that's not what happened. So I was a ticket broker. I had the largest ticket wholesale company in the world. And at that time, we were buying over 1 million tickets a year. And it was worth about $350 million. And I was working every day, 18 hours a day plus, so about 120-hour work weeks. Yeah. And we were crushing it. I mean, the money wasn't an issue. And we came actually to Bali, and we were at Amandari, and I just had an epiphany that the reason that I was working in the first place was what I was missing in my life. So the money was to support my family and give them a great lifestyle, great quality of life, to be able to have more freedom. I had no freedom. I had no relationships. My relationship was with my business partner, fighting about what we did right, what we did wrong, and what we should do going forward. And when I was at home with my wife, who's an amazing, loving person I didn't even know at the time because I was too busy working. So I would come home and I would be separate from my family. I might be physically present, but I wasn't emotionally there. I was thinking about what I screwed up earlier, or what I might screw up tomorrow, what I need to do to plan, and I was just really unavailable to my kids, and they were starting to lose their way in school, and I had no time for my friends. I'd have to schedule things way in advance. It was ridiculous. And so I realized at that time that I had screwed up everything. And I thought I was doing it right. People were saying, "You're killing, you're doing a great job. How do you do this? Mentor me, mentor me, mentor me." And I was doing that, but I was mentoring them in how to make more money, not how to have a better quality of life. So I was telling people how to improve their lifestyle, not their quality of life. And there's a big difference between the two. So I made a decision that night at dinner. We had a break in between dinner, and I told my business partner I was done. That's it. I'm walking away from this. And he was really pissed, because the goal was to be billionaires, and we were well on our way to that. But when I told him, no, this isn't what I want to do anymore, he's like, "What the hell is wrong with you? What you fucking said? You said we were going to be billionaires. We're on this path. Don't walk away now." And I'm like, I got to go. I think this is not happening for me. So I walked away, which I don't recommend to anybody. Just walk away from your multi-million-dollar business. Don't do that. Figure out a plan to step down slowly. But I literally walked away, and it took a while for that problem of no money to catch up to me, but it does eventually. So then we've got the idea that you've tasted money, because sometimes people... I drank from the pitcher.
You drank from the pitcher of money, from the well of endless supply. Okay, so then you began to move forward in your life. You said you had these skills and strategies. When did you learn those? And then how did you then begin to use those to help other people?
I started learning them actually when I was 15. So there were many skills that I wanted to learn, but I focused more on the business end of it. And I was happy, and I was in a bubble, but I was really kind of missing the juice in life, which is quality of relationships. I think that is the most important thing. And you don't miss it when you don't have it. But when I walked away from that and I started focusing on that, I realized that I really had missed so much time. Time just flies by, man. Just flies by. I didn't have a great relationship with my kids or my wife or my friends. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't deep. You know, it wasn't truly like, fucking love you, man. Like, you're the greatest. I didn't have any of that. Yeah. And I mean, on occasion I did, but once I started focusing on really what do I want, what's important to me, what time am I spending doing that, what time am I spending doing other things that aren't near as important as that, and maybe I should stop doing those and start investing my time where it pays off the greatest return.
And so those people on a mission, right, because some people listening here and some people watching here, some may be in a position of, you know, hey, I'm happy, right? I'm happy enough. I'm doing well in this and that and the other. Some might be in a position of, you know, I'm not happy and I'm going through a really hard time. It's been 2 years of struggle and I'm in a really tough place. And then you may have some who, you know, as we kind of said before, you know, like who couldn't do with any more happiness, you know, like it's not like I've had enough happiness, I don't want any more. Like it's not like this limited supply of it. It's like, oh yeah, I could do with some more happiness. So then what, and again, we'll get deeper into this later on.
Sure.
But what would you say, you know, are some of the absolute nuggets for those people in a different part of life? So we'll start off with the people which are unhappy right now. What 3 steps? Okay, I know it's very difficult.
I would say one of the most important distinctions you can make is to differentiate your problems from challenges in your life. So many people think, my God, I got so many problems and they suck. It's so hard. And if you look at your life with that distinction, so what is the difference between? So a challenge is something that you can do something about. Okay, I don't have enough money right now. Well, what can I do right now to move in that direction? My relationship with my significant other isn't as good as it could be. Okay, what can I do right now to make sure that that improves, and what steps can I take? Those are just challenges. A problem is my mom died, or my kid has cancer. These are things you can only look to a higher power for. And you can get down on your knees if you believe in that, or you look at the universe or whatever and really start asking for help in that way. The other ones you can do something about. So if you can do something about it, it's a challenge, which means it's an opportunity and that you can overcome and you can actually feel good about. If you have problems, you might have a problem or two, but probably don't have as many as you think you have. So when people realize this distinction and make this distinction in their life, it really changes how they feel about their current situation and the situation of the people around them. Because I think so many people discount what's going on with the person next to them, or they don't even have any thought about it. But the person next to you might be going through some real difficult situations, and they might be bugging you, and you're like, hey, why is it taking so long to get my water? Like, I asked for water 3 times. And you know, maybe they're going through some things, they're distracted, and that doesn't make it okay, but it just makes it so you can deal with it a little better. So I would say that's one of the number one things you could do.
Yeah. And from what it sounds like as well, like that pervades all 3. No money or unhappy, sort of happy, I'm happy, right? So that is a nugget that pervades all 3. So the question then comes up, which one quality did you struggle with the most on your way to achieving a state of happiness?
It's still going on. My struggle every day is patience. That is why I'm back on this earth. If you believe you've been here before, what you need to learn, and you come back again. I know why I'm here. It's to learn patience. And my level of dealing with that has certainly improved, but far from perfect. I'm not saying I'm happy all the time. I don't want anybody to think that you're supposed to be happy all the time. We're humans. There's a whole range of human experience that we're supposed to go through. We're supposed to be frustrated, and we're supposed to be angry, and we're supposed to be disappointed. We're just not supposed to stay there. It's really a matter of deciding that, okay, I feel this. Is it beneficial for me to continue to feel this way? What would be a better option? And then changing how you feel and learning how to do that. People say, oh, that sounds easy. But nothing's easy to begin with. Nothing that you've ever tried is easy. And You just don't give up. Like learning how to use the toilet wasn't easy. Learning how to walk wasn't easy, but those are things that we take for granted now.
Yeah.
Because, our parents didn't say, oh, just, quit trying. You're a crawler. That's just who you are. You'll never walk. And I think that's the biggest excuse I get from my private clients is they'll say, especially ones that are very well-to-do, they say, look, I am who I am. And if I changed me, then I wouldn't be me anymore. I'd lose my edge or whatever bullshit story they're telling themselves as their excuse not to move forward and be more full and more rich in experiences than they are in just bank accounts.
Yeah. It sounds like I'm a person, happiness is a byproduct. It's not my goal, or it's not a goal, it's a byproduct of, from what it sounds, it's a very practical way of using it. So if I wake up today and I do something and I realize I'm pissed off, then in a way what you're saying is, well, okay, ask myself first, is this a problem or a challenge? Number two could be, like, what could I do right now to take care of this? So it's a very practical approach. So if X, Y, and Z is pissing me off, take myself out of that situation. Is there a better way for me to handle this? Is there a better way for me to go about solving this as we speak? So from that point of view, it's practical.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so you want me to move on to the next one?
Yeah, love you to.
Next one would be abundance versus scarcity, I think. I think most people feel that we live in a world that's what we have is finite. And if I have a pie and I give away, if there's 8 slices and I give away 8 slices, there's nothing left for me. And that's just not how it works. And I can prove that to you, that we do live in a world of abundance and not scarcity. Because if you ask yourself, or in this live audience, most of you, I'm imagining, pay your own bills. Raise your hand if you pay your own bills. If you don't, please let me know who pays your bills and share them with me. Share.
There's a few people there who are like, I can't tell anyone that I don't pay my own bills.
That's okay.
I'm going to keep this one low. They might not see me.
In private. Okay, so since you've been paying your bills since we were 16, 17 years old, however old you were, have you ever been at the end of the month and you don't have the money to pay your bills on the 1st? Anybody? Ever?
Hold
if
a
you're not
second.
raising your hand,
I'm looking at the hands here. One guy over here. I'm not going to point you out. I just did. He's like, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
So at the end of the month, when you don't have any money, you're like, how the hell am I going to pay my bill? How am I going to pay for my rent? How am I going to pay my gas, my phone bill, my electricity, my water? It's just not going to happen. It's the 28th, the 29th, it's the 30th, 31st. Holy mackerel, what am I going to do? And you do everything you can. You work more, you make your phone calls to borrow, you sell your stuff, whatever you need to do. And somehow, some way, you come up with it. Every single time for years and years and years. Now, some of you plan way ahead, and awesome to you. I'm not that far ahead. I put it all on the line every time, and most of the thing, whenever I get something, I either spend it or I give it away or I share it. I'm not a big saver. So I used to be, but I've changed my ways because I know that I will be provided for if I do the right thing and I exhaust all of my resources and do the best I can. Somehow the universe gives me that little hand at the end, that little push of, you've done a great job. You're doing good things. I'll help you out. I don't think the universe, if you're doing the right thing, kicks you in the ass, or God, if you believe that, just screws you over. It doesn't work that way. And I could tell by all of you being here that it's worked for you too, or you'd be homeless on the street and you would have given up and you wouldn't be here. At least that's my hallucination. So
what else? So we've been through that one. We've been through abundance. Now, obviously, we can't spend the next hour on this, but what else would you say is another quality or another really important part of the puzzle that people need to at least acknowledge on their way to achieving this state of happiness?
I also believe, and I think that if you believe this too, your life will be more full and less stress. And one of the things is that life works for you, not against you. And the things that happen in your life happen for a reason, and they're to your benefit, and you think, there's no way this could be to my benefit right now. This sucks so bad, this moment. And then you realize a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, that it might be one of the best things that ever happened to you. I remember being crushed with my first girlfriend. We were together for, my first serious girlfriend. We were together for 5 years, and we came to this understanding that we're never going to get married. We're not right for each other. And we broke up, and it was like a piece of me was missing. I'm like, holy God, like, how am I going to get through this? And I was so sad. I don't know if she was sad because we didn't talk, but I was sad, and it affected everything I did in a negative way. And, now I'm 53, and I have the most amazing wife now for 30 years almost.
By the way, Rocky's here.
She's
Round of
amazing.
applause for Rocky.
Yeah.
Give it up.
With this guy.
Rocky, come over here.
So
this is Rocky.
now,
She's amazing.
Back to the story. My first girlfriend, who was so amazing, who I thought, oh, this is so crushing, I don't even remember how to spell her name. So it was so truly insignificant in the scheme of my life, but at the moment, it was overwhelming, almost devastating. And I think also the words we use are just, they can either work for us or against us. So many people are like, oh, my back is killing me, or is your back killing you? If your back's killing you, call 911, because you're probably going to die. But if you say, my back's a little annoying, but I'm sure it'll get better, it's a whole different feeling. Words have feelings attached to them, and if you change the words that you use, you change how you feel, and that changes everything.
Love that. So then for you now, you mentioned that one of your challenges is patience, but you're getting better, right? And I heard that in what you were saying. So then some of the clients that come to you, whatever comes up for you, have been some of their biggest challenges, and how did you help them overcome them?
I think it's dealing with stupidity, or perceived stupidity. It's like, people are so dumb. How are they so dumb? I don't even get it. It's just that they're not really paying attention. They're living their own life and their own experience, and you are insignificant in that. And as much as you would like to think you're important, because you're important in your world, in their world, you're not quite as important. So I was just in Sri Lanka weeks ago, and we're taking these tuk-tuks, and you know what these are, three-wheeled like mini taxis. So we're going somewhere, and I tell the guy, okay, up here, make a left. So 5 seconds later, we're there. He says, right or left? I said, what? I said, okay, just left. Now, I could either lament over how he's not listening to me, or he doesn't care, or he's not smart, or whatever I choose to believe from that, or I could just say, that's so silly. Just go left. Next time I'll just tell him when we're at the corner which way to go, instead of telling him in advance which way to go. And I think that a lot of corporate executives think this about their employees, that I told them to do this, they didn't do it, or they didn't do it the way that I thought. And communication is about the message that you're trying to get that they receive. It's not about them receiving what you're trying to give. It's your responsibility to make sure that they have an understanding of what you said. And I think people have a tendency to say, oh, they're stupid, or they're not listening, or they just don't get it. No, it's your communication isn't working, and you need to change your approach.
Got it. Now, you've spent many years traveling around the world, working and living, still do now, right?
6 countries in the last 5 months alone.
6 countries in the last 5 countries. Well, India being one of those countries, and
Wow.
And we'll get to that.
Wow.
We'll get to that. And then living in the area around Ubud, so we're here in Bali, right? And everyone knows that Bali has this incredible energy to it, a mystical, beautiful island with all this culture steeped in heritage and ancient wisdom and all of that.
Some of it.
Which we love, right? Okay. So then the question is for you, how does, if it does, spirituality, mysticism, all of these things that you've experienced, which part, if they play a part, do they play in happiness and being happy?
For me, it's a huge part. And it's only because I focus on that. So what I recommend to everybody is decide The first question that I ask people, whether it's in a group setting or an individual mentoring session, it doesn't matter who they are, is what's important to you? And really, this isn't a question that can be answered instantaneously. This is something you need to think about. This is going to take a while. You need to write these things down. So you put categories of what's important to you: spirituality, finance, relationships, health, whatever it is to you. They're different for everyone, but I think many people have the same things. And then you rate those on a scale of 1 to 10 where you are in that category right now. So when I was doing my ticket thing, I was in finances, I would say I was in a 9 or a 10. But relationships, I was probably a 3. In spirituality, I was probably a 1. And those were important things to me, but they just weren't as important. I shouldn't say they weren't as important. They weren't as urgent. There's a difference between important and urgent. So urgent things you take care of right now. Business is an urgent thing. If you don't do what you need to do, it's going to cost you money. And you can't do that in business. So since it was only myself and my partner and the people that we told what to do and what needed to be done, that was the focus. So when I pulled back from that, I realized that I was very empty in these other categories. Now the goal is to get a 9 out of 10 in all of these categories. Now that takes some work and some time management and some effort, and maybe a little less Facebook and a little less Netflix, and sometimes even a little less sleep. But if they're important to you, you want to score at least a 9. Now why I say a 9 and not a 10 is we're not going for perfection in life. Perfection is to live without pretending, to love without depending, to speak without offending, and to listen without defending.
That's beautiful, man.
That's not mine. It's just something one of my mentors
you feel that?
Told me. But that's really what going for perfection is. But if you're getting a 10 in any of those areas, the rest are lacking in a big way. If you can get 9, 9.6, 9.8, great for you. Just don't go for 10 unless you're in the moment that's mission critical. You need a 10 because you're a surgeon and you have to fix that heart or that brain, or you have to do something like that.
One of the first things that I get from you, right, when we talk and everything, is I get the worldliness, I get the experience, I get the depth, that you always hold eye contact, right? That here am I saying, like, look at the audience, and he's glued on me, like, damn it, look at the audience, Greg. But he holds the gaze, right, which I love. What has been, whatever comes up, one of the biggest things that shocked you, and why?
Biggest things that shocked me? I think maybe, and Rocky tells me all the time, like, how are you still surprised at these things? And it's every day. Like, how in the world could people... The things that we say are common, they're just not common anymore. Common sense, common courtesy, common decency. There's none of that. Not none, but it's a rare thing. When you, like here in Canggu, you wait to make a left, and people are just coming and coming and coming. Nobody stops and says, go ahead. It's just a rare thing. It just seems people are so focused on what's in it for me, what do I need to do to make things better for me rather than make things better for us. What can I do in my life right now to make myself and the lives of the people around me better is my primary question every day. And it shocks me that more people aren't focused on they're focused on me. And maybe I've got that wrong, but I feel that at a level that's a little uncomfortable for me.
And you brought up the word we. Beautiful
buddy.
word.
It was us.
Yeah.
Us, all of us.
Right, us, all of us.
And I don't mean we as far as myself and my wife, myself and my kids, my immediate family. I mean community, world community, planetary, All of these things are important to me, and of course they radiate from the inside out. Your heart has to overflow in order to give to others effectively. Some people try to fill that hole in their soul by giving and giving and giving without taking a look in the mirror and being comfortable and friendly with the person in the mirror. I think so many of us have such terrible self-image or such terrible self-talk. You know, they walk by the mirror and they go, "Oh, you look like shit today," or "You're gaining some weight, you're losing your hair," or whatever.
I've lost mine.
Yeah, I'm losing mine in the back too, but I've found some stuff in Sri Lanka that's growing it back. It's crazy.
I can see a few knuckleheads in the audience here, and I can tell you that your heads are looking beautiful, gentlemen. It's a beautiful thing.
I think when you embrace it, it's great, but I think in the beginning you're like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Like what are people going to think of me, or what?
You know what comes up actually?
Tell me.
Is because what you're referring to, what comes up in my head are like the traps of happiness. Now, this could be a mental construct that we have, or it could be something else. So, but if I bring up to you and I say to you, Greg, what would you say of the main traps of happiness or the pursuit of it? What would you say?
I would say believing that happiness is pleasure. It's not. I mean, it is. You can be happy for a moment, but it's the shallowest end of the pool, for sure. It's known as the hedonic treadmill, where you have pleasure and then that goes away quickly. So you need more of that, you know, whether it's drugs or alcohol or shopping or stuff or likes on your Facebook or whatever it is. You got to get more and more and more and more. And the more you get happy for a moment, but then it wanes, and then you need more, and it wanes, and the next thing you know, you're on this treadmill of hell, trying to be a Kardashian or something, and they're some of the least happy people I've ever met.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I heard a few ooh in the audience when you said that, and so then if happiness isn't this pursuit of what turns up being this transitory energy of elation, right? Then what is happiness?
Happiness to me is liking who you are, liking what you do, and being proud of that and the people that you're doing it with. I think that's the key to happiness, is having this internal confidence and bliss of relaxation and not stressed over what other people think. Although what other people think is important, because those are the people that you love, not trying to impress strangers that you've never met with things that you don't need and can't afford. And that seems to be the trap of social media, and why suicide has been on the rise in teens since its inception in a radical way. I mean, actually, suicide rates have been up every year for the last 28 years. 28 years, year after year, it goes up and up and up and up and up. So that says something about maybe we're heading in the wrong direction. And we as humans always want more. That's what we're programmed for, is bigger, better, faster, more. And that, time to slow down and reflect and be happy with the people around you. And by happy, I mean connecting on a meaningful level, not just superficially.
Got it. And look, so we have a third mic. So Ayub, and it was relaxing there. So Ayub, it's like, what? So we have a third microphone, because I know that there'll be some questions here. So with questions, you might be in one of three places. One place might be, I've got a question, I'm going to ask it. Put my hand up, mic comes, I ask the question, right? Great. Number two might be a place where it's like, I've got a question, but I can't ask that question. It's too blah, whatever that word is. And the third place is that there's no way I'm going to ask that question, because there's no way, right? Whichever place you're in, I'd love you to accept number one. If you're in two or three, reconsider, because what we have here is a beautiful collective energy, right? So any question that you might have in your head that you may feel that I can't answer, I can't ask that because of X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 whatever's going on in my mind, someone else would love to ask that same question, but won't have the courage or whatever it is at that time to ask the question, which means that you're doing them a service by asking your question, right? So in other words, ask your question, right? There you go. So just raise your hand if you have a question. And I know you have, I know Kathy has, but I'm not going to pick on her. Oh, I just did. Joking. So just raise your hand. Over here, please. Yeah. Hello, darling. Good to see you.
Also, if you have something really serious that you need to discuss, and usually in a room of 30 people or more, there's at least one person that is really down and they're feeling maybe insignificant, unimportant, that maybe life isn't worth living, and they feel alone. And I want you to know that you're not alone, and although people may not have told you that they care about you, they do. I'm one of those people. Even if I don't know you, I do care about you, and you too. And if there's anything that you feel like you can't go through or you're going through alone, you can reach out to me personally. And I don't want anything from you other than to help you through this and to let you know you're not alone. So my name's Greg Jacobson. So it's greg@happilyachieving.org. You can just reach out to me and I'm available. I literally do suicide preventions many times a week. And I haven't lost anybody. So it says something about
thank you, brother.
That. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, letting you know.
Hi.
Hi. Beautiful smile. I forget to smile so much. People go, "Why? You're the happiness guy. Why you have these lines in your forehead? What's wrong with you?"
I did notice that. I didn't want to bring it up.
So damn serious. Well, happiness is a serious freaking thing, all right?
Do you think that what gives meaning to one's life is the pursuit of happiness or the pursuit of purpose? And by that I mean that if you have purpose, the byproduct of it is happiness.
I think they're inseparable. I absolutely believe that both are important. So, like I said, the pursuit of pleasure isn't I think what any of us are going for. But when you have meaning and purpose in your life and you're doing things to help others at a higher level, people that maybe can't help themselves, there's something really incredible about that you can't help but be happier. And doing what you're chosen to do in life is an amazing thing, and I recommend it to everyone. You know, I go around Asia and I tell Asian parents, stop telling your kids to be doctors and lawyers and engineers if that's not what they want to be. Support whatever they're good at right now and whatever they love, and they'll find their path. Just support that, and I get a lot of flack for that. But I think that, yes, definitely, I think the worst advice in the world is to hold on to your dreams. That's one of the worst pieces of advice I've ever got, because I think that put your dreams into plans and take action on them right now. Don't hold on to anything. Don't leave anything undone, and don't leave anything unsaid. Tell the people that you care about how much you care about them. Tell your kids that you're proud of them and that you wouldn't want any other kids. Tell your parents that they did a great job, if they did a great job. And tell the people that around you that you love them. And they may be uncomfortable hearing that, too freaking bad. Just tell them anyway, because if it's true that your life is better because they're a part of it, they should know that. There might be somebody sitting right next to you that needs to hear that you wish you would have said that tomorrow. And I've heard that too many times. People come up to me and said, you know, I waited too long, and there's so many things I've left unsaid. And I'm saying, well, don't continue down that path. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Carol. Great question, darling. So what comes up, we got another one over here, Ayub, thank you, is this. So you mentioned about parents, right? So, you know, there's this long-held belief, I believe part of it, definitely. It's like epigenetics, right? So it's like, well, my mum was an alcoholic or whatever she was, that kind of, the way she treated me left my self-esteem from 0 to 7 in a certain way, and I feel that I'm now stuck, you know, in that trajectory destined to repeat what happened to her or run so far away from it. It's like a circle that I come back to where I was trying to escape, right?
Complete bullshit.
Good. So how someone who came to you with those or that story, how would you begin to help them to see clarity to make it to that end goal?
Great question. So we are not our story. We are not the things that happen to us. You know, I know, had a complete shit upbringing when you were a kid. I don't know if many of you know this or they're supposed to know this or whatever, but this guy had some fucked up things happen to him. And you could have chosen to live a life of being a shitty person because there were shitty people in your life that shit on you. So what do hurt people do? They hurt other people. But you don't have to. And you have made the decision to be a person of substance and say, that happened to me, but that's not who I am. That 7-year-old kid that was beat down is now a grown man, and I choose not to live as that 7-year-old boy anymore, because those things are not happening to me anymore, nor will I let them happen to me as a man. And I respect you and honor you for that because you're freaking awesome, dude. And I love you. And you do things to help people all over the world that you don't even know about. You know, that's kind of what we do. What we do is you and I love to get the feedback of, we give you this kind of advice and maybe a path, and you agree, and you now change the trajectory of your life, and you become a different person today than you were just this afternoon. And we can see the light go on, and we love that. We feed off of that. But, you know, I speak to an audience of 30,000 people. I don't get any feedback. I'm brought on stage. I sit here. I stand on the X. I deliver, and I leave. I don't get that. What I do from a small audience like this, or from a one-on-one where I can ask questions and get answers. That is the way we find out about people, is by asking questions, not by giving you answers. I can't just stay here and tell you all of the things that are going to help your life without knowing what's important to you. So I can give some suggestions and some advice, and you can take those and run with them right now. They're instantly actionable. You can go out and do all of these things. But really, without that dialogue of a one-on-one with people, you can't really get into the crux of why they're so fucked up, and why they shouldn't repeat what their parents did or go totally the opposite way. But that might be okay too. You have to find your own path. And what happened to you many years ago, although it's affected you, it can be used as fuel to move you forward and to help other people. So I think that being stuck in your story is a big one. And that we don't need to be stuck in our story. We can look at that. And we don't even have to go back and revisit this, or we don't have to. People think that you gotta forgive and then go back to those people and give them hugs and bring them back to your life. No, you don't. Forgive them for what they did for your own sake, and then move on. You know, some people are much better to love from afar. You don't necessarily have to have people in your life that are not good for you. Matter of fact, I don't recommend it. Even if they're your brother, your cousin, your mother, your sister, your friend that you've had since junior high, but they're just the way they are. It's okay that they treat me like shit. They've always treated me like shit. No, it's not okay. You can decide that you're better than that, and you will no longer put up with that. And it doesn't have to be a fight. It just has to be like a balloon that you let go, and it floats away until you can't see it anymore, and that's okay. And I'm giving you all permission to do that if that's going on.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Question, yeah.
So for me, happiness was always the balance between like positive and negative emotions. And since recently I got so many negative emotions, so much hatred that I've never faced in my life before, because I consider myself being very loving and peaceful person. But since February 23, like life changed, divided to before and after with the war. And that's why when I saw the topic of today's talk, I was like, wow, can I actually be happy with this absolutely unfavorable circumstances? But so this question number one. But the biggest question, I asked this several friends today that are super interested in Stoic philosophy, as I am, and I'm trying to be a Stoic, and hatred doesn't match any Stoicism whatsoever because it's so counterproductive to my happiness. But I absolutely cannot handle my hatred towards Russians now. Like as Ukrainian, it's just
okay. Well, I might be able to help you just at least look at that in a different way.
So if you could help, I would be very grateful.
Anger is totally understandable. Hatred is unacceptable. And the Russian people didn't do anything to the Ukrainian people. The one guy in charge was in charge of a military that has gone out and done some terrible things. And unfortunately, this has happened throughout time. Since there were tribes just of a few people and other few people, they would go and they would steal their stuff, or they would rape their women, or kill their men, or whatever they did. That's always been going on. That's since the beginning of time, and it's not okay, and it's not right. My mom was talking about this the other day. She calls me and she's crying. She's like, "It's so sad that so many of these people are displaced and they're away from their family." I said, "You know what, Mom? Your mother, being of Jewish descent, left when she was just a child in 1912. And they came through Ellis Island, and you and your sisters were born here in the United States and had their own family, which then was Russia, but it's now Ukraine. So it's all so convoluted and mixed up. That's actually where I'm from. That's where my family's from the Ukraine, but it was Russia, and it was Russia. And if that hadn't happened then, you all wouldn't be sitting here learning this from me, because I would be in Russia doing something different. So what happens, it's not what happens, it's what you do with what happens. Don't hate a bunch of people for decisions that one person made. Now, it's easy to say, these people do this, the Chinese do this, and the Russians do this, and Jews do that, and blacks do this, and whites do that. But people are just people. People learn from their parents and from their environment, and then they make decisions as individuals. And you need to make decisions as a loving, caring soul, and you have to know that there's many, many Russians that detest what's going on right now. They're protesting what's going on there now. They're helping Ukrainians, and Ukrainians were Russians at one time. So it's very convoluted, and I understand, and I have friends there that have been displaced, and I'm dealing with this all over the world, but there's always going to be conflicts, and it's how you perceive them and how you move through them. And you have to ask yourself, okay, what can I do to help mend this ugly situation that's going on right now? Nobody killed you. You didn't kill anybody else. You don't want to go stab somebody here because they're Russian. You don't want to do that. But what you want to do is have a dialogue, and I think that not sharing that with people, not sharing how you feel, that's where hatred comes from. I think that being upset and angry, there's certainly something to that. And I think that conversations with people, and you'll find that people that you think are on the other side are actually on your side. I can hear you, though.
Yeah.
Just put up, because it will go into the... It's okay, yeah.
So coming back to the initial topic of this conversation, how do you actually find happiness when the circumstances are so unfavorable? Like, I understand that happiness is always internal, not external, but how do you actually find this inner strength when the circumstances are that dark? How do you actually lift yourself up?
Well, there's pain in the world, but you can choose not to suffer. You can say that we are learning something from this, and it may not be right, but Nelson Mandela was in prison for a long time and happy, and wouldn't have traded those moments for anything. There were two others with him that go nameless, but they were there the whole time fighting, and one of them was black and one of them was white. And they spent the same amount of time in there with them, and none of them would take it back either. So I think that the world has something to learn from this that we've yet to learn, and we'll see what comes out of it. And I think that you just have to reserve judgment on people as a whole. And remember, there's people in Russia that they're getting Russian information from the Russian government. They believe that there's something totally different happening. they believe that the Ukrainians started this thing and that the Ukrainians were oppressing the Russians in their country. So it's all about your perception. So I think that maybe you should look at your perception and maybe be open to some different thinking.
Just while we move on, and I'm sure afterwards we can talk about this more.
Happy to talk about this.
Right? Yeah. I just want to acknowledge you for speaking up, right? Because I can see, as we all can, your energy has shifted already, from the moment that you explained what was going on to where you are now, which is what he does, right? It's what we do. We heal people, and we can heal each other through listening and through being honest. Which I think is, I just want to acknowledge you for that. So
me too.
Beautiful, darling. Thank you so much. Really is.
You don't hate anymore, do you? You just maybe
I
a
would
little
say
angry.
anger. It's like it's same
Anger
thing
is
for me.
Because
I normally I don't like people. I never even use the word hate, and this is first time in my vocabulary. And I'm 28. I never hated anyone.
Yeah.
And now I'm struggling.
Yeah, it's a bad time to start.
I'm struggling a lot with that, and I don't want to be that. I don't want to have any hatred.
Understood.
Yeah.
You are such a beautiful, bright light, and I can see your total love. And you need to remember that. And then you just need to stay in your heart and just love everyone and find the love in each individual. It's
extremely difficult now.
I totally understand, sweetheart. But you must just hold on to the love within your heart and give that love back out to others, always.
Beautiful.
It's okay.
Yeah. So we'll hang up more afterwards, okay? If we need. Thank you, Rocky. So I just want to. We've got a little bit of time left. So I'm looking at these helmets here, happily achieving. So now, can you tell us, Greg, a little bit about happily achieving?
I would love to. Thank you,
go.
because I would have forgot that. Okay, so. For me, living your purpose is really an important thing to me. And since I was basically kicked in the ass by God or the universe that said, you got to share these skills and strategies with people so they can live more happy and fulfilled lives, and I do this all over the world. So I was brought back to Bali. Things opened up the way that they're supposed to for me. I'm very follow the energy, I guess, or I'm very in tune with where I'm supposed to be. I'm always in the right place at the right time. So I came to Bali, and I was doing these workshops all over the world. And I came to Bali, and it just seemed like Balinese people are happy on the outside, for sure, that they don't want these workshops. They don't really need these workshops. They quietly suffer and have heart attacks. This is what they do. So I said, well, I can't just stay here and go to restaurants and waterfalls and without helping people. It's just against what I feel I'm supposed to do. And I was lamenting. I mean, my heart was breaking to see all of these children on this island riding around without helmets. It's crazy. So I looked up the statistics in Southeast Asia. 250,000 plus kids die every year from being a passenger on a motorbike. 250,000 kids a year. And I said, there's no way that these folks love their kids less than I love my kids, and I would never let my kid go on a scooter without a helmet. Never, never, never. I don't do it. My wife wants to go to the store and say, okay, let's just not wear a helmet. No way. That's not going to happen, because that's when the problems happen, is when you least expect them or when you think I'm close to my house. So I said, okay, well, what can I do? Back to the question, what can I do to help remedy this situation? And I decided that I'm going to add to my nonprofit. Add to the nonprofit, I'm going to give helmets away to kids 13 and under, because I think the kids that are a little older, they make their own decisions and they ride around like crazy people anyway, and you can't make them do anything. But I think if you start with the little kids, we start with a positive habit, maybe they'll take that for the rest of their lives. So I started buying these helmets. I bought, so far, my own money, I bought 600 of these helmets to give away. And these are for Rob's kids, even though they have helmets. So my goal is to see millions of these all around Asia. I'm going to start with Bali, and I'm giving them away. The cost on these helmets, I got down to $8. So about 115,000 rupee or something each. And they're they're rated by the government as crash tested, and I think they're highly visible. And I was working with the king of Kuramaton, Tabanon, and he wanted to start with his area. So I've given helmets away there, and I'm starting to see them on the street, and it's making me very happy. And we're involved with the chief of police there and the head of the hospital, and they're really behind this. And as a foreign guy that comes into this country, all I can do, I think, to be in the right place is to share this love, share these helmets, and let them give them away, rather than me being the guy, hey, here's your helmet. But I'm noticing that the kids love these helmets. I mean, they love them. They wear them around their house. They crash into things in their house, little kids especially. So,
that reminds me of me as a kid. I got this pointed head over here because I used to run into walls to feel what it was like. Not smart, but I kept doing it, right? I thought a tree would feel different. It didn't. It still hurt.
I think that's a pain diversion tactic you were using because you were in pain in other ways. Come on, let's call it what it is.
Fair call. Oh, I love it. So look, we've got about 5 minutes left, I think. So there's a few things I want. Number one is if there's another question out there, we'll give you a chance. So Ayub, brother, so one microphone question over here. And before we get to that question, so you do a great number of works with big companies, organizations, right? Staff, high-powered companies, Fortune 50, 500 companies, and so on. So the question is then, just over here, Ayub, when you're ready, brother. So the question is, so we understand the work that you do, or part of it. So with these types of companies, what kind of work do you do most importantly, and what defining points can you bring to us?
Well, I bring some of the happiness element in, but it's about creating an outstanding client experience. I think customer service and all, the difference between a customer and a customer is somebody you get that's price sensitive. They'll use you, and then they'll shop around, and they'll always go at the lowest price. A client is someone who will stay with you forever based on the value that you give them, not the price that you give them. And I teach this distinction and how to create that in a way where they would never go to your competitor. So I work with Marriott, the Bonvoy, which is the biggest club in the world. I work with them, and I work with Ritz-Carlton, and I work with many different companies, from banks and hospitals and like Google. And
so with those companies there, if you could choose one challenge that you continually come up against, what would that be, and how do you overcome it?
That's easy. I think we've all run into this. You call a customer service line because you need help, and the only answer they could give you is no, or let me talk to my supervisor. My thing is, what is the value of a client over time? Figure out what that is and invest some of that money back into the ability from the employees, the frontline employees, to be able to say yes more often. Give them $20, $50, whatever it is, to be able to waive that charge, or whatever it is that's so frustrating that we're on the phone for so long to only get an answer of no, or let me talk to my supervisor, we're going to have to get back to you. And then they have the audacity to say, is there anything else I can help you with? You didn't help me with anything in the first place. I am not a client of yours. I am a customer, and I hate you. To use your and you're the worst in the world, and this happens. I would say maybe the worst company. I might as well say this: the worst company I've run into in a long time is PayPal. Oh, wow!
Oh, it hurts.
Wow,
it hurts. Not much.
Terrible company. Wow! All I could say is wow with them. And
I guess I
can name a couple other companies that are really terrible, but they're really the pinnacle.
I guess I can wave goodbye to that PayPal sponsorship for the show now.
Actually, PayPal, reach out to me because I can help you get clients instead of customers who hate you.
All right, I love that. So,
wow.
Last
question.
Did I
just say that?
You just did live. I like that.
So actually, my question is the opposite of
You don't work for PayPal, do you?
No, I'm not.
Anybody who works for PayPal, get out of here. All right? No, I'm just kidding.
So my question is the opposite of her. Sometimes when we know like the situation is not good and then we feel unhappy. But sometimes we are in a situation where everything is good. And then everybody say like, you should be grateful, everything is good, you don't have problem. But it make us feel boring, and then boring in the long term make us suffering and then make us unhappy.
I don't know what you just said, but I love the way you said it.
I just feel that like I have no problems, but I feel boring every single day and I feel unhappy about it.
Okay, great answer. On your lock screen on your phone, is it a picture of you?
No.
Okay. Most the people that are unhappy or bored, their picture's on their lock screen because they're the most important thing in their life. You need to find something that's much bigger than you and join other like-minded people who share the same values as you do. And you will find joy in every day in giving to people that can't give or won't give back to you ever. That's the biggest joy, I would say. Mm-hmm. But if you're just, if you're going from club to club and you're happy and bored, I totally get it. Totally get it.
Well, great question. So look, guys, we're gonna.
Look like we
got. Okay, come on. Okay, if you pass my phone to
everyone's questions.
Detlev. Oh, you see what I mean? Yeah. Throwing out the format, trying to keep the show to 1 hour here. I'm trying. I really am. And this guy is like, oh, just keep them coming.
Keep them coming.
So it's all good. We'll keep them coming.
Okay. I'm Craig. So first of all, Detlev is my name. Right?
Oh,
Detlev, it's a German name.
Right, you're the VIP guy with the parking space out front.
No, I mean, seriously, we can really serious also on the topic of happiness in Germany, as you guess. Yeah. So that's one thing. But no, the other thing is when Robert asked you what shocked you really in your life, I was expecting that you say something like 9/11. Yeah, or
that didn't shock me at all.
Or now the crisis, the terrible crisis in the Ukraine.
They happen all the time. They're not. It's like a car accident. It's not shocking.
That's exactly the question. How to deal with these things? What are 100% in the media? You cannot get away from them. How to treat these issues where you anyway have no influence?
Great question. First of all, stop being addicted to the news. Okay, because the news is bad. And the reason it's bad is because negative stories are 11 times more watched than positive stories. And they're built on ratings, which they need more bad news to bring in more people and to sell more advertising. That's their goal. There are no positive news stations, and if there are, they go out of business quick. They go out of business quick.
Only bad news is good news.
Only bad news is the only news. So my suggestion is stop watching news so much. Stop relying on what they say as being the gospel, because most of it is so overinflated in a negative way. The 4 foods that you eat now that will give you cancer back in 5 minutes. Well, you want to know that. And you already know it's fried foods and that kind of stuff. So my suggestion is focus more on the positive things that are going on in the world and try to focus less on the negative things. I'm not saying that they're not happening. I'm not saying you just ignore the rain and go out without a rain jacket. I'm saying look outside. If it's raining, grab an umbrella. That's no big deal. You don't have to bitch about every raindrop that comes down. But you do have to notice that if you're walking along the beach and the sun is shining, which is positive, and the palm trees are swaying, which is positive, and the waves are crashing and it's beautiful and you feel the sun on your skin, and all you notice is the trash on the ground and the dog shit, that's a problem. You get to choose what you focus on in life, and the news will bring you more and more anger and sadness and division when you want inclusiveness and happiness. And so I recommend to everybody, at least don't watch news 2 hours before you go to bed. Don't do that. That doesn't need to be the last thing that you see. You don't need to go to sleep hearing about doom and gloom. That's not the best thing. Is that helpful? Okay.
Great. So we had one more question. You, my darling. So if you pick up the microphone just next to you, yeah, Ditlev just made love. No, live TV. I didn't say that Ditlev made love to the microphone. I did not say that. I did not.
By the way, I think you can go online and subscribe to happy things that happen every day. You could probably Google that, and they'll probably send you an email every day. And if you subscribe to several of them, you'll have great things that you can share every day about positive things that are happening in the world. And what a great person to be that say, oh, did you know this happened? Did you know this happened? All positive. People are going to want to talk to you. You want to be that guy. Even German, you can do that.
That one got a few laughs, just want to say. All right, my darling. So the last question while we're recording live. And any more questions we can stay back for?
Fair enough.
Over to you, darling.
You should have been here anyway. So if you missed something, it's your own damn fault. All right.
Hello. So I'm wondering, with all your experience of working with individuals who are struggling with happiness, would you say that you see a common denominator, a common downfall that really is hindering people to being able to live with sustainable happiness?
Without a doubt. It's the same pattern. So people are stuck in the story of their past. You change your story, you change your future. People aren't using perspective to say, well, this is my life. Look at the lives of other people. They're focusing on what they don't have versus what they do have. They're not visualizing what they would like to happen in their life. And they don't have positive anticipation. They are looking at, oh, what if this doesn't work? They're living in worry and fear, and positive anticipation removes all of that. So there's a time frame. It's a lag time between doing something and getting a result. And you can either feel good about what's going to happen and excited, or you could be worried and scared about what's going to happen. And neither are true, because we only have right now. And whenever the answer shows up, you only have to deal with it one time. So fear lives in your body as if it's real. You get to live the worst case scenario over and over, although it's happening right now. You hold your issues in your tissues. So you feel this all the time. And if you visualize success in the future, you have positive anticipation, you change the meaning of what happens to you. Oh, I got in a car accident. Okay, well, that's a good thing, because people get in car accidents. At least nobody was hurt. At least nobody died. Maybe it was going to be worse next week, or whatever you decide. Then you use perspective to say, well, at least this didn't happen to me. And then you use gratitude. Gratitude is the most underused tool that we have. I think people think that, oh, I have to be grateful. Okay, I'm grateful for my family. That's it. You know, there's a lot to be grateful for. I mean, I start in the morning with being grateful that I'm even alive. Like, I wake up, I'm like, holy shit, I get another day. This is awesome. What can I do with today? What amazing things are going to happen to me today? What happens for me today? Because it's going to work out for me. And then I thank God for my wife laying next to me, and my nice comfortable bed, and my pillow, and my toothbrush, and my deodorant for everybody else. And, you know, all of those things that I can be grateful for, a hot shower, clean water, something to eat. There's a lot. But I'm also grateful I'm glad that my mom and I have a great relationship, and that she's not dead, because she will be one day. You know, I'm really grateful that my kids are healthy, because so many people have unhealthy kids, and what a horrible thing to have to deal with. So be grateful for the things also in your life that you don't have, that you don't want. So those are the common things in life. And I think also people believe that there's scarcity versus abundance, and they also believe that life happens to them instead of for them. So those are kind of the 7 things. And language is probably another one. People say crappy things to themselves and crappy things out loud, that they make it all the worst that it could be, instead of being, you know, what it is. I'm not saying you have to make things better than they are, but at least make them what they are, not what you'd like them to be or what you think they should be.
So now I have another question.
Oh, you're
awesome. Awesome.
Oh, man.
I love this.
Oh, live TV. Oh. For those at home, I tried so hard to keep this to an hour or less, but you saw what happened, which is a good thing. Last question.
Okay. So how quickly can you turn it around for people with those habitual thought processes?
I think you do the opposite of what people do wrong. What do you mean? Okay, so we'll start over again. So you have to have something that you're looking forward to in your future. What are you looking forward to that hasn't happened yet? And see it in a positive way. Look at it working out. Those are the things. The things that happened in your past, change the meaning of them. Okay, my dad was a jerk, and he used to beat my mom, and he was an alcoholic, and he left when I was 7. So my meaning then is all men leave and all men are jerks. Well, that's not true. And if you take that forward, how are your relationships going to be with men? They're going to be shit. So change that meaning of that. Say, my dad was a person. He had to go. It was the best thing that ever happened to us, and change the meaning, and then you change your whole life. Then you use perspective. Compared to what? What are my problems and what are my challenges? Let's separate those two. Let's look at challenges as opportunities, and let's rise to the occasion of those opportunities, and let's come up with some gratitude practices. I know to be grateful, but when should I be grateful? How can I be grateful more often so I can live in the moment and actually live in gratitude, not just appreciate gratitude every once in a while when I think about it. Maybe you look at your watch often and you say, okay, if there's a 3 on my watch, it's time to be grateful. And if it's 2:24, you didn't miss it, you just go, oh, okay, good enough, close enough, I'll be grateful anyway. Be grateful in the morning, be grateful in the afternoon, be grateful in the evening. Try to be grateful as much as possible. Maybe put a rock in your pocket if you have pockets, and then you reach your hand in your pocket and you're like, oh, I feel this rock, I feel so grateful. I remind myself to be grateful. Might as well grab it off the beach so you can think about a time, or a shell in your pocket or something like that. Figure out ways to be grateful more often, and your life will be more amazing. And then be kind to yourself. Say great things to yourself in the mirror. I know I do. I look in the mirror and go, man, you are awesome. Look at you. You're so freaking handsome. And I know people are going, what? He's not that good looking. But to me, I am. Because I've condition myself to stop saying, oh, you're losing your hair, oh, you're gaining weight, oh, you should be this, you should be that, you should do this, you should do that. So I think become your biggest advocate and love yourself more, be the best you that you could be, and then show up every day ready for the world in a very positive way like that, so you're not Debbie Downer, and you show up and people want to be around you. People that are positive and happy make more money than people who aren't. They get more raises. If you and I are going out for the same raise, we're trying to go into management, and you have a better skill set than me, but everybody thinks you're an ass because you're so hard to be around. Everything's negative, negative, negative. I'm going to get the job over you because people like to be around me. They want to be lifted up. They don't want to have a problem contest. Like, oh, my back hurts. You think your back hurts. Nobody wants to hear that. It's not a contest of who has the biggest problems. It's better to listen and to be a solution provider for people. Does that help? Awesome.
You know what? Even though we went over time, that was a great question. It was really, jokes aside, it was a very, very valuable question, so thank you for that.
People are going to... Yeah, they wanted to know that. They must have missed the first part too. So.
Yeah. So now, Greg, in about 2 minutes, okay, you will end the show by either something that drops in your mind or reiterating something that you feel to be important.
Wow, I just did that.
In about 2 minutes. In about 2 minutes. A minute and 50 seconds. So think about what that is or whatever drops in. And until then, I'm going to do something here.
Do it.
Okay, everybody who's here, thank you for joining us. If you're in the audience, love you guys, appreciate it. And remember, every Monday we're here, Tropical Nomad. Come at 6 o'clock, grab some food and beverage. It's free. We had this people asking, is it free? Yes, it is free. Do I need to be a member of Tropical Nomad? No, you do not. So you can be a person off the street, walk in, grab a seat, grab something to eat or drink, and watch and imbibe and meet some really cool, great people who are aligned to you in many ways, more than you even think or realize at the time. So do that. Secondly, now we have mixed up the format a little bit. So you would have seen the panel discussion that we had. 2 of them are here. Beautiful Natalie, beautiful Kathy, and Bhavna, who was going to be here tonight but had something to deal with. So we have a panel the first week of every month. That panel may change. You may have some of the great beautiful characters who were on there last time, but that will deal with some really interesting subject matter that's quite topical, and you will always walk away with something that will be enlightening for you that can change your life in some way, shape, or form.
And don't forget about the Mercedes-Benz giveaway.
And the Mercedes-Benz giveaway is coming.
Yeah, you got to show up.
Don't worry, man, it's coming.
No, yeah, it's the new 2086 model. Just put your name in for the drawing, and you could win.
All right, so we'll get to that in a second. Thanks, Greg. You notice how he just comes in, but I love him. So what else have I got to tell you? So yeah, watch out for that. Join SpeakuP Monday. Now, SpeakuP Monday is one word on Instagram, or SpeakuP Monday group on Facebook, and remember YouTube as well. So I think it's Robert Ian Bonnick, SpeakuP Monday, but search on YouTube, SpeakuP Monday, you'll find us. Now, next week we have the LOV project, if I'm not mistaken. Now, these guys are up to something phenomenal, which has never really been done here before in Bali, the LOV project. So look out for that. I'm not going to give anything else away, just follow and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So make sure you're either watching live, which is better on YouTube, or Facebook Live, or come in person, which is the best experience. Thank you to Tropical Nomad. We've got Guzman over here by himself. We had Itchy, who set up, and obviously Ayub, who's always here, and the Spirit of Bella. Thank you guys every week for making us. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you to me. I appreciate you, man. Look in the mirror. I appreciate you. And remember, if you do lose hair, you've got this to look forward to. We've got two other knuckleheads in here as well who will attest to that. Some are losing their hair but are in denial. Some, like this guy, have got so much hair, I am never going to see him being bald in his life. And the next one. So, without further ado, thank you to everybody who's watching live. Share this if you're feeling it. Some great knowledge. And Brother Greg, thank you so much for agreeing to say yes. Thank you to our sister Rocky, who agreed to bring you and be part of your life. But you guys are amazing.
Can't do it without her. She won't let me, right? Then
no, she is an amazing individual, much like yourself. So
individual.
Amazing. So, brother, over to you to see us out on whatever it is you're feeling that you want to share.
Okay, so if you feel like giving, helmets would be great. Happily-achieving.org. I just want to throw that in there. $8 will save a life. I mean, that's about as cheap as it gets. I want to leave you with this. I think the most important thing you can do is, other than being kind to yourself, is don't leave anything left unsaid. The people that have got you to where you are, that you really want to thank, that maybe you haven't thanked properly, call them up. Call them tonight. Write them a letter, send them a text or an email. I prefer seeing them in person and looking them in the eye so they can't wiggle away and squirm when you tell them you love them. Tell people that you love them. Look them in the eye and let them know that your life is better because they're in it. If you've got kids, tell them how great they are and how proud you are of them, because they need that, and it's important. And your parents, before they are gone, if they're not gone already, let them know how much you appreciate them, and you know that they're not perfect, but you know that they did the best that they could with the information that they had, and you want to thank them. Really, truly tell your friends that you love them and that they're important in your life. That's what I'd like to leave you with, and I hope that you actually take action on that, because that can make a big difference in your life and their life immediately. And then all this other stuff that's been information, God, let it be transformation. Seriously, you already know enough, and you probably don't do enough with what you do know. So at least let some of this seep through you, not just into you, and become a better person. Smile more. I know I have to tell myself to smile more. I was at an event, and I wrote it. You had your name card. I wrote on the back of my name card, "Smile, asshole." That made me smile a little bit. So smile more. Open doors for people. Be kind. Be loving. And that's what I'm going to leave you with.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. I love you, Rob.
Love you right back, my brother.
It doesn't mean I'm in love with Rob. I just want you to know this isn't in any way weird. So don't think of it. Don't tell your friends that they love you and then feel weird about it. Feel good about it. I do feel good about it. Yeah. So you notice I'm not touching him when I say it. I just touched him because I am in love with him. That's okay.
Live on TV.
And I don't blame him at all for that.
Greg Jacobson, for a round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming, everybody.